Hello, welcome to episode 7 of the Dice Throne podcast. Today we're going to talk about the Seraph, and I'm here with Kevin Heidrich. How are you doing, Kevin?
Oh, not too bad. Should be fun.
Yep. Funny story, just yesterday I played against the Seraph in my DTOC game. I played against her one time and I won 26-0. So.
Oh,
wow. They weren't getting flights fast enough, but we'll talk about that when we get to flight.
Yeah, no kidding.
Alrighty. So the Seraph is just it's like an annoying character. She has a lot of effects that can prevent you from doing things you want to do. She doesn't have extremely high damage output, but she can really mess up your plans.
Oh yeah, that doesn't have big high damage attacks, but the undefendable, all the undefendable damage that she can do really makes a difference, depending on which character you're playing against, but can be really effective that way.
Alrighty, so we're gonna start off. I actually looked at some analytics, and starting off with the basic attack seems to drop a lot of people. So we're just gonna start with Purify.
Okay.
I could just be that, like, correlation is not causation or something, but whatever. Purify, you need to roll. Oh yes, by the way, the Seraph's dice anatomy is 3-1-1-1, which is the hardest. Which is the worst dice anatomy in the entire game. It makes it very hard to roll things.
Yeah, but at the same time, she has lots of abilities to hit, lots of backup plans. So
yeah. So Purify is 2 5s and a 6. Choose a player. If that player is an opponent, deal 5 undefendable damage. Otherwise, that player heals 4. Additionally, you may remove a status effect from that player.
Yeah, really great. Really great, depending on who you're playing. If you've ever seen a Shadow Thief in the shadows and you're like, hey, I'd really like to get rid of those shadows, and hit him, this is the attack for you.
And then it also does 5 undefendable.
Yes, the best kind of defendable.
Yeah, though obviously the better option is just to pierce through the shadows with an ultimate.
That's true, but this is a nice little backup plan.
Yep.
Definitely really great against some characters. Getting rid of status effects can be definitely really helpful, but
I mean, if you're playing against like a barbarian, that might not be as helpful. But and then the upgrade just adds 1 to either the damage or the healing.
Yeah, not too bad. Usually kind of a sell for me, but depends. Yeah. If it's a Shadow Thief, I wouldn't mind dealing 1 more damage to them. One thing not to do is do not play this upgrade if you're facing Artificer, because then you hit that 6 damage break point where you can use it as a heal box.
Yep, I never thought about that.
Yes, if you're facing the Artificer, definitely sell this guy right away. It's definitely a trap.
Because it makes it worse. It makes the thing worse.
Makes it way worse.
Alrighty, next up we are going to go to Holy Blade. For 3, 4, 5 blades, it does 5, 6, 7 damage, which is average.
Yep.
Which is kind of surprising considering how this character is meant to not have a bunch of damage. This attack is average. And if you use a flight on that and it succeeds, that's undefendable, which is amazing for a basic attack.
Oh, definitely.
I forgot to set my Discord to Do Not Disturb again. This is going to become an inside joke, isn't it? Alrighty. The level 2 upgrade adds 1 damage, which brings it above average. It also adds Cherubim. For 3 blades and a 6, gain Flight and Holy Presence. The level 3 upgrade turns the damage from 678 to 579, which doesn't actually change. It just actually changed the damage output. On 4 of a kind numbers, you now inflict Blinding Light, and Cherubim gets upgraded to also give you a cleanse.
Yeah, for me, this is always instant upgrade for me, because it's really hard to consistently get a cleanse like on your Cherubim ability, and cleanse and Holy Presence. You can very easily get those, and the 9 damage Holy Blade is pretty strong too.
Yep. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy for a basic attack.
Yeah, I think you would agree in like taking level 3 and selling level 2.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Level 2 doesn't quite do it for me. Just one more damage and a flight and a holy presence. Oh, that's okay. But
actually, it does 0 more damage. It well, I mean, averages.
Yeah, pretty much actually.
I've gone way too far into figuring out the damage output of the basic attack, and like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think the Holy Blade 3 upgrade, I think 9 damage for a basic attack is pretty good as basic attacks are concerned, definitely.
Yeah, unless you're a barbarian, in which case,
oh yes,
paltry.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's laughing at you.
Alrighty. Next up, we've got Glorious. For 3 blades and a 4. You gain flight and then deal 6 damage. The upgrade increases the damage by 1 and also adds take flight for 1 blade and 2 4s. Chosen player gains flight, deal 3 undefendable damage.
Yeah, pretty much the bread and butter of the Seraph. If you need to get some flights, feeling glorious.
Yep. And I would probably take the upgrade. Just because, again, the Seraph sometimes has difficulty rolling things.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the sub ability is definitely really great when you're going for the glorious and you just happen to roll too many 4s. Oh, there you go. You got a sub ability, and also as from some of his other sub abilities, he's definitely a team player. Like because with the take flight, you can give the flight to whoever you want.
Yep.
So in team battles and adventures especially, you can.
Yeah, I imagine the Seraph is going to.
Seraph's a really big team player,
especially with all the undefendable damage, which the minions don't do anything against.
Exactly.
Because they don't have cards.
Yes, but yeah, definitely an upgrade for me.
Yep.
Oh, and then flights, of course. Got to talk about the flights.
So flight. First off, I just wanted to say that one of the reasons why I would take flight is because the Seraph and the Pyromancer share the fact that 4s do almost nothing in most scenarios, other than to do straights and maybe one ability. So having something to do with all those 4s is helpful as well.
Oh, definitely. It's very, when you get a few upgrades on the Seraph, it gets quite difficult for her to whiff.
Yep. So on the topic of flight, when you spend flight, you roll 2 dice. If it's your offensive roll phase and you roll a 6, the attack becomes undefendable. If it's the defensive roll phase and you roll a 6, you dodge all the damage.
Yes, really great. Me personally, I try to aim for using it for the defensive roll phase, just because I'm a big fan of evading all of someone's damage, then making my attack undefendable.
Yep.
But definitely depends if you have to face a Shadow Thief or a Paladin's upgraded defense or something like that. It can become really powerful, making your attacks undefendable. But for the most part, I like to aim just doing it for the evading all the damage.
Yeah, the Seraph hates Shadow Thieves.
Hates and loves them.
Yes. Alrighty, next up we've got Holy Smite for a blade, a 4, a 5, and a 6. Roll 4 dice, do 2x blade undefendable damage. On 4, gain flight. On 5, gain cleanse. On 6, inflict blinding light.
Definitely one of my favorite abilities for her. Does a little bit of everything.
Yep. And then the upgrade changes the flight and the cleanse gain to multiplication, and then also adds Holy Command. For 3 blades and a 5, you heal 1 and deal 4 undefendable damage.
Yeah, the upgrade for me is an instant upgrade for me, because there's been one too many times where you have the Holy Smite unupgraded and you roll the 4 dice and you roll like four wings or 4 of the 5s, and you just do a sad face because it's just like, oh, I only get 1 flight for that. Yep. Or I only get 1 cleanse. The upgrade, making you able to get multiple flights or cleanses, is super strong.
Yeah, I don't think the sub ability does that much really. It's just a 5-point swing.
Yeah, not too bad. Just just something nice to have.
Yep. Alrighty, next up we've got the Seraph Small Straight Triumphant. Deal 6 damage and roll 1 die. On Blade, add 1 damage. On 4, add 2 damage. On Cross, add 3 damage. On 6, this attack becomes undefendable. Meh.
Yeah, pretty.
Doesn't do much.
Yeah, pretty standard small straight. You know, you've had the opportunity to make it a pretty high damage attack, and making it undefendable off the bat is kind of nice too.
Yeah, my main problem with it is 50% of the time it does 7 damage, which is below just average for small straight.
Oh yeah.
But obviously, if you get a 4, 5, or a 6, it's gonna do more than that. When you get the upgrade, it increases the damage by 2. So if you roll a 6, it becomes 8 undefendable damage, which is the exact same as the Barbarian's small straight 2.
Oh yeah, for me this is a pretty easy upgrade because I like that it does the 2 more damage.
Mm-hmm.
Adds 2 more to the damage and
yep.
Gives you the opportunity to do what 10, 11.
Yeah, you can do 11 damage and then possibly make it undefendable.
Which makes it pretty strong in my opinion. Pretty good.
Alrighty, next up we've got Archangel's Will, Ballard Straight. Gain Flight, inflict blinding light, then deal 8 damage. The upgrade increases the damage by 1 and also adds Heaven's Blessing. For 1 slash and 2 5s, a chosen player gains 2 cleanse and 2 flight.
Yeah, talking about the Seraph being the ultimate team player, this is pretty much the ultimate team player ability, that Heaven's Blessing there.
We haven't gotten we haven't gotten to Divine Intervention yet, Kevin.
Oh, it's true. We'll wait till we get there.
I could talk about for hours about Divine Intervention, but whatever.
Yeah, the upgrade is, I would say, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm playing somebody and like a pirate or something, and I know they're going to be giving me lots of powder kegs or something like that, then sure, I'll probably pick up the Heaven's Blessing to get the cleanses and the flights. But if you're facing like somebody who's not going to be dealing too many status effects to you, it's usually just a sell for me.
Yep. I think I would only take Heaven's Blessing if either A, the opponent is a pirate, or B, I'm playing Dice Stone Adventures.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And that's also amazing in Adventures if you know an ally is going to be fighting a level 3 minion or something. Or
definitely.
Or they're in the middle fighting a minion that is throwing a bunch of negative status effects at them.
Oh, yes, and that happens a lot. So it's definitely getting 2 cleanses and 2 flights. It's pretty great.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Next up, we've got Highest Power. For 4 6s, gain Flight and Holy Presence, inflict blinding light, then deal 8 damage. The upgrade for 2 CP increases the damage by 2 and also gives Divine visage, whatever. So I'm going to talk about Divine Visage in great detail later because it's amazing. It's probably the best 3 6s in the entire game, save for maybe Shadow Dance. So on Highest Power, it's basically Holy Presence is actually okay. It's just kind of okay. It's basically poison, but it can't be transferred. And if your opponent also has cleanse, they can't use it on it.
Yep, makes you deal the 1 damage at the start of the Seraph's turn.
Yep,
you can stack that up 2 times. I like it because it just adds that little bit of extra damage that the Seraph doesn't really have. The Seraph's damage is just like a little bit lower than other characters, but if you get 1 or 2 Holy Presence on, that kind of evens it out there.
Yep.
It's really nice dealing 1 or 2 more damage every turn.
Yeah, and I didn't mention this on Archangel's Will, but Blinding Light is evil. You roll when you're about to activate your offensive roll phase, you roll a die. On 2 to 3, you have the damage. On 1, it fails.
Yep. And what happens 50% of the time?
Yeah, it does nothing.
Yep.
But obviously, if you can get it consistently, it will eventually start slowing the opponent down. which means more flights for you.
Yep, definitely like it. It's a good stalling tactic, and making someone do half the damage on even like a 6 damage attack, only taking 3 damage is pretty nice.
Yeah, and also with flight, if you transfer that, you can. I usually when when I'm choosing what stats effect to transfer, I transfer flight, and then use it to make my attack undefendable. Usually I'm playing as the Shadow Thief.
Oh shoot! It could be because nothing's scarier than a 15 damage large trait undefendable coming at you.
Yes. I mean, there are probably a couple things scarier than that, but
something you thought you'd never see.
Yep, and then the upgrade,
a Shadow Thief flying at you.
And then the upgrade, obviously, pretty much every upgrade that adds a 3/6 move is an instant take. And Divine Visage is probably the best one in the game. It just gives you a lot of stuff.
All the stuff.
Yep.
Yes. Puts that Heaven's Blessing that we just talked about to shame there, because you get the flight and the cleanse, but you get the Holy Presence and the Blinding Light as well. So just
so a lot.
Gives you all the things. Just a lot. Just everything.
Yep. If you use this 2 times, it'll work at least once. Unless your opponent somehow manages to burn through their entire deck.
Yeah, and also for the highest power upgrade, upgrading it to 10 damage is pretty high too, because most characters I'd say have undefendable damage. Yeah. Not too many of them have 4/6s that do defendable damage, but the 10 damage and the option to use your flight to make it undefendable is pretty insane too as a 4/6 ability to go. It actually gets pretty close to rivaling your ultimate for damage.
Yep. Next up, we've got the Seraph's defensive angelic mantle. You roll 1 die. On slash, you deal 2 damage. On 4, you prevent 1 damage. On 5, you prevent 2 damage. On 6, you prevent 3 damage. Obviously awful, because it only does one thing. And that one thing is usually only a 2 or 3 point swing.
Yeah, I think as defenses go, Seraph has probably one of the weaker basic defenses, but I think when you upgrade it, that's when it really shines and actually gets up to being one of the best ones. But basic defense, definitely not the greatest.
Because the level 2 upgrade increases the damage dealt back on slash to 3, and also the 4 turns into gain flight, which is amazing.
Oh, definitely. It's really great saving yourself from the brink of death and rolling that 4 and then using that flight and flying away from some lethal damage.
Yep.
Definitely great feeling.
One thing about flight is you can use 6-it on it, which makes it slightly better than evasive in terms of dodging power.
Oh yes, yep. The 6-it super duper important with the Seraph.
Yep.
Definitely got to save that to make a flight work.
And then the level 3 upgrade increases the damage prevention on 6 to 4, and you can also re-roll the die if you want.
Yeah, definitely an upgrade for me, because having the option to re-roll that dice if you roll the blade and you really don't want to deal damage back, want to prevent some damage. It's definitely great to have the option to re-roll it.
Yep, that gives you
probably one of the best ones.
And that gives you a 1 in 3 chance of getting a flight if you're chasing it.
Oh, definitely an upgrade for me. Cost 3 CP, but it's definitely a worthwhile cost.
Yep. Last but not least, we've got the Seraph's ultimate, Split the Heavens. Gain flight, holy presence, and blessing of divinity. Deal 13 damage.
Yes, coming back to life with that blessing of divinity is definitely great.
Yep. I think we talked at length in the Paladin episode how great blessing of divinity is and why you only see it on ultimates.
Oh yes, because there's been lots of games I played where the blessing of divinity takes me back to life, and I win the following turn, and
Yep.
it was just that little bit extra that I needed to survive and win the game. So.
Yep.
And
Alrighty, I don't know how we're doing on. This might actually be. Go ahead.
Oh, and gaining a holy presence and flight is definitely a good addition too.
Yep. Yeah, and the holy presence does add. Basically makes it 14 damage. Since you're probably going to get another turn, since you have blessing of divinity.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah,
it's
14 damage is a good amount.
Oh, definitely. And just with the holy presence, it definitely is something that you want to try to aim to get early in the game. Just because when if you're trying to get a holy presence in the beginning of the game, it's going to have obviously more turns played. You're going to have more times you're going to be able to do the one or two damage back to people. If it's near the end of the game, the holy presence isn't going to be doing a whole lot. So
yeah, and in Dice Stone Adventure, Blessing of Divinity is basically just a free salve.
Oh, exactly. And also the fun thing with the holy presence too is that it actually is 1 damage to all opponents. So even though your teammates might be
in the dungeon,
even though your teammates might be fighting guys through another portal, they still get blinded by the Seraph's light wherever they are. Makes it super powerful.
Hitting. So, like, you can imagine if this hits every enemy in the dungeon, you can leave a minion at 1 health, and it will die come the Seraph's next turn.
Yes.
Assuming she ends up fighting a minion, of course. Because
of course.
Otherwise she doesn't get an upkeep phase.
Exactly. But that's pretty much all you do in adventures is just run around and fight minions. So it won't be too hard. It won't be too hard to find someone to fight.
Alrighty. Now we're going to talk about the Seraph's 4 character-specific cards, which are all insanely powerful.
Yes.
And we're only like 20 minutes in. This could be like the shortest podcast episode I ever make. Of course, if we don't talk about Divine Intervention for 20 minutes, because it basically just defines the Seraph's whole moveset.
Of course, you just save that till the end and go on your 20-minute rant about it.
Yep. Yeah, one of the guys I had on here like I say ranted in like the nicest way possible about every ability on the Artificer, and it took like 90 minutes. Whatever.
I know. I was listening to it.
Yeah. So first off, we've got Smote. For 1 CP, roll 5 dice as an attack modifier. You add 1 times blade to the total damage, and on 6, inflict blinding light.
Yep, pretty great.
Especially considering all the undefendable damage you have.
Yes, it's definitely good at having attack modifiers onto that undefendable damage.
Yep.
And the blinding light is pretty much always happens too. With the smoke, usually 2 or 3 extra damage in a blinding light, which is pretty darn good for 1 CP.
Yep. Next up, we've got Angelic Combat for 1 CP as an attack modifier. Roll 1 die. On blade, add 3 damage. On 4, gain flight. On 6, gain cleanse. On 5, gain cleanse. On 6, gain holy presence.
Yeah, really nice. Just not exactly the most consistent. Like if I'm trying to deal a bit more damage to him, I'm only dealing more damage half the time.
Yep.
But it is great having that option to get the holy presence.
Yes.
Because the Seraph, outside of literally her 4/6 ability and ultimate and some sub abilities, doesn't have many ways of getting that holy presence. So it's nice having that 1 in 6 chance of getting a holy presence.
Yep. Next up, we've got To the Skies, a 1 CP main phase card. A chosen player gains flight.
Yeah, pretty great. Just give it for yourself, give it for a teammate. 1 CP to hopefully evade all damage coming at you. That's pretty great.
I don't think this is a sell unless I also have in my hand Divine Intervention. 4 CP main phase card. Gain Holy Presence, inflict Blinding Light on a chosen player. A chosen player gains 2 flight. A chosen player gains cleanse. It's basically just your 3/6's ultimate, but better.
Better, but definitely quite expensive.
Yes. 4 CP. So when we first got the Seraph, we thought that Divine Intervention was absolutely broken. Because it just does so much stuff, and it ends up like if you play this card, it will give you like the edge you need to win the game if it's close. However, obviously, the Seraph has no CP gaining effects, so she will likely have to sell cards to get to 4 CP, and then she'll be down to 0. Also, if the opponent we've been joking about this a bit. If the opponent has what status effects in their hand, it basically just cancels pretty much this entire thing out.
Yes, what status effects is definitely not the Seraph's friend, and Divine Intervention is definitely one of those cards. If you're playing against a Seraph, you want to save that what status effects for, because you're just waiting for this to come out and make them whip that down and make the Seraph cry a little inside.
Yep. Especially if you're a character like the Shadow Thief that can get it 2 times in a game.
Oh yeah, it's happened to me one too many times.
Yep. That's the horrors. That's also the horrors of making a custom character that can shuffle stuff from their discard pile back into their deck.
Oh man, that's just evil.
I mean, because the character is meant to be hard to control. So imagine if you play twice as wild and then shuffle it back in, and then just like just play minimalist in terms of card play, and you could just repeatedly recur twice as wild.
Oh boy, that's just getting scary.
Yep. Then the attack does almost nothing else other than shuffle cards back into your deck. So who knows? Anyway.
Yeah. So with Divine Intervention, it's definitely situational. If you happen to have a few maybe upgrade cards or something that you don't want, and you have enough money for this, and I'd say if it's early in the game too, it's great to get that Holy Presence down early. But really depends on what your CP situation is looking like. If this is near the end of the game, 4 CP, it could be that little bit extra that you need to pull out a win, but it's really great being able to do all the status effects on someone, and 2 flights and a cleanse can be really great.
Yep, especially because it's once again a chosen player, which means in Dice Throne Adventures you could pass it to somebody else, or if you're playing a 2v2 or something.
Yes, makes it definitely that much more powerful in the multiplayer games.
Yep. So that is the Seraph. Any final thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, the Seraph definitely one of my favorite characters. Has a lot of abilities. You say that she's kind of hard to hit her abilities on. I personally kind of think the opposite. That has a lot of options with like having lots of abilities to hit with the 4s. Because I find myself a lot of times playing the Seraph, I have like a small straight, a glorious at the same time, or I have a small straight, a glorious, and a holy smite all at the same time. My kind of tips for her would probably be, you really want to keep your 4s and 5s.
Mm-hmm.
Your 4s and 5s on like your first roll, because it leaves you open for the small straights. It leaves you open for, if you roll a couple more blades, you can get the glorious, or just need 1 more 6 for that holy smite. Yeah, 4s and 5s I like to think are your friends, and definitely depending on what defense, what character you're up against, what kind of defense they have, use that flight mainly for avoiding damage coming at you, but sometimes it's definitely worthwhile flying over someone's defense.
Yep. Just to give an example, I'm going to go ahead and take an offensive roll phase over the podcast here, just to drop dice, because why not? Yeah, so I just rolled 2 4s, a 5, and a 6, so that's a Purify.
You mean a Holy Smite?
That is not a Holy Smite. I don't have a slash.
Oh.
But that's still a Purify. And then I could definitely go for Holy Smite. I would probably get it as well.
Yes, definitely lots of options to play against.
Yep.
If you get your defense upgrade, definitely want to upgrade that guy. Your Holy Smite, upgrade that. Holy Blade, upgrade that, and just keep stacking those flights. And
yep.
As long as the sixes are smiling on you, should be doing all right with that.
Yeah, when you're playing as the Seraph, you should be trying to get a constant stream of flights, because otherwise your base defense isn't great. So if you don't have flights, you're going to be taking a lot of unnecessary damage.
Yes, definitely doesn't have too much on her defense to prevent, but having the flights is
yep.
That's kind of what evens her out. She only mitigates usually a little bit of damage, but being able to fly away from all the damage, that's really her bread and butter.
So, anyways, that is episode 7 of the Dice Throne podcast. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.